Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again, I'm your host, Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts, Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, Christopher G. Mohr, and myself will take a look at very spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we are reviewing Brooklyn 45, streaming on SHUDDER. So we're excited about that. Joining me this week is my co-host, the friendly face you saw at the opening, the one and only Jeff Mohr. How you doing, sir?
See, he didn't notice. I knew he didn't notice.
I didn't notice. I'm just happy to be on the green side of dirt.
Dear God.
Wow.
I guess me too. Cheese and rice.
The right end of the daisy, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. Also joining this week is a living dead girl, the one and only Crystal Cleveland. How you doing?
I am doing great. I mean,
prove it.
You know.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I don't have any Nazis to kill, but you know, I guess I'll leave that up to.
But if you did,
we'll find some.
I would. I sure would.
Wow. You heard it here first, folks. All right, also joining us is award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Mohr. Wow, your room is
I see insane. Like the Nope, and yeah, it looks good.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you like my room. Because I'm the Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy from Company B. Yeah, I'm doing well.
No. I love it. That's great. All right. Wow.
Yeah.
Before we get into this, we just want to share that we are celebrating 10 years of H&R, Gruesome Magazine, and Decades of Horror. We started off in April of 2013. We reviewed Evil Dead, the 2013 remake, on the first episode. That was with Santos, Dave Dreher, Thomas Mariano, and myself. It was great to meet new friends and start this adventure that has lasted 10 years. It's kind of amazing, as with all my new friends as they grow. So thank you guys for joining in. Of course, we started our celebration this year, Christopher G. Mohr, with the review of Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah.
What a great 10-year span of, bookends of films for that span. Mm-hmm. And we will be celebrating all year. We'll end our celebrations in February, early March of 2024 with our inaugural Grue-Crew. That's right. We are going on a cruise, and everyone is invited. So go check out on
I started looking up my rubber duckies. Got to get some cool Halloween duckies.
So GruesomeMagazine.com/Grue-Crews. Check it out. We will be having 3 days of horror and fun in the sun. We'll figure out how we mix those two together. But it's going to be a blast. But let's get into our review of Brooklyn 45. What we're going to do is start off by giving you our first impressions. Those first impressions, sir, will be spoiler free. Then we're going to get into discussion. We'll get into spoilers. This movie has spoilers. We'll get into some of them. Mm-hmm. They're not huge spoilers. I don't think any of the spoilers would ruin the film, to be honest with you, but some fun stuff happens. And then we will wrap things up with our score, 1 to 5. And our favorite scene.
Dun,
dun, dun.
All right. And of course, we hope you enjoy not only this review, but many others that we have on the site. And if you do, please hit the like, subscribe, share with a friend buttons. They're easy and free to do. And each click will help us find more horror fans just like you. All right. Let's make sure I hit the right one here. Boink. Yeah, special effects by Doc Rod. Brooklyn 45, 2023 on SHUDDER, beginning June 8th, 2023. Synopsis: 5 military veterans, best friends since childhood, gather together to support their troubled host, and the metaphoric ghosts of their past become all too literal. Written and directed by Ted Geoghegan. And the cast includes Anne Ramsay, Ron E. Raines, Jeremy Holm, Larry Fessenden, Ezra Buzzington, Kristina Klebe, and Lucy Carapetyan. I'm going to go with that.
Works, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm not too far off on that. I think I did good. All right. Tagline is: the ghost of your past would like to have a word with you. Wow. Not my favorite tagline.
Aaron.
We'll go with that. We're going to have a word with you. All right, let's get into our first impressions. We're going to start off with the one and only Crystal.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, as you can tell, based on the cool poster they have here, and the trailer was really awesome. For some reason, in my mind, I was expecting like Frighteners type level of stuff here. And unfortunately, this was not that level of stuff. The acting was great. The cinematography was nice. It's a very simple story. It's basically a car outside, and as far as locations and the interior of a home. So it is, it reads a lot like a play to me, though. Yeah, it feels like a play as opposed to a movie, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I was bored. I was bored through a bit of it. I had some difficulty with character motivations, and it was confusing to me at times because I didn't see or feel like those character types would actually do or say what they were doing and saying. So that was interesting. Like the female lead, I really enjoyed, and I loved that she was an interrogator. Reminds me a lot of my father. So we'll let that stuff sit there. And, I feel like everyone did a great job in the acting. I just feel like it was kind of pointless to me. The whole story was a little pointless. I suppose it was supposed to be a character study, but I didn't feel like I was actually studying anyone. I didn't feel like anyone had an arc. I didn't feel like there was... My biggest issue was with the story or lack thereof. I mean, really, there wasn't much of a story. I think other people might find this very interesting and fascinating. I was happy when some people got, actually at points, and I was like, yay, we're done. And that was it. So, as much as I wanted...
you wanted that door to unlock a lot sooner than it did, huh?
As much as I wanted this to be scary and like a Frighteners, it was very far from that. The poster is amazing, though. Oh, God, I love the poster. But I think I'll pass it to these gentlemen who liked it way more than me.
And the ball goes to Christopher G. Mohr. Sir, give us your first impressions of Brooklyn 45.
Well, I will say I hated the trailer. The trailer looked like a bad like trauma movie. I didn't like the poster either. So
Really?
I'm opposite of
fun.
Crystal. But the movie's not fun. But I will say the movie gave me the opposite reaction. I was very intrigued by the characters. I mean, it is more of a character study. It has story, but it also feels almost like this could have been like an episode of like Tales from the Crypt or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It almost feels like an expanded version of that. But I think all the characters felt like they walked out of that time period, the dialogue. And I don't know if you guys paid attention, but when they go into that room, the screen goes from 4:3 to widescreen. Yeah, and then it goes back to 4:3 when they go outside again. And I was like, me is like, ooh, that's cool. So yeah, I think this is one of those things that this could easily be a play, and it makes me wonder if maybe they made it as a play, or going to. And it is more of these interesting characters and revealing more elements as it goes along. I mean, some elements I think aren't fully revealed, and then other things are more revealed. But I think the actors did a great job. I mean, and even though it doesn't have a lot of horror in it, it does have that kind of, it has Frighteners, a little bit of Ghostbusters, ghost type things. But there is like one really gory scene where it's like, whoa, that's where all the effects budget went out. It's like that one big effects thing that went on for a good amount of time. I was like, wow, that is a really good effects piece.
No, that was Larry Fessenden's actual head. He actually did that himself. Yeah.
Yeah,
And he just went. It popped back out. So
I don't think that's real. I don't think he's a cartoon character. I don't think he can do that with his head. But yeah, I think it's I really enjoyed this, and I was really kind of enthralled just by the characters, and it does have that underlying thing of what, when it comes to war and the things people do when it comes to war and how they make excuses, or even, it even kind of ties into now where people were like, look at your motivations, and everybody's like, you're against me, you're Russian collusion, all these different things we're dealing with now. It has that kind of element in it. So, but yeah, I think it's got some really great actors in it, some great acting in it. I mean, yeah, it is more of a character type piece, but I enjoy that element of it. So I didn't really mind it as much, because you'd have like these good actings, and then you have like the wonky, ooh, I'm a Ghostbuster ghost.
Yeah.
But I think it also kind of tied into that time period as well. I think it almost kind of felt in, and the only thing that it felt outside of that time period was the gore, which is more like 2023.
Wouldn't be like
more
that,
Terrifier than it is old timey movie. So, but yeah, I think they did a really great job of bringing that time period to life and keeping me interested from beginning to end. Although the ending I didn't like. It's got a cheesy thing at the very end. It's like I don't know. Stupid.
Cheesy thing at the very end. Okay.
Yeah.
Eager to find out what that is. All right, Jeff Mohr, sir. Your first impression.
Yeah, I like this as well. I'm becoming, or already was, a bit of a fan of the director's previous movies. We are. I can never remember the name though. We're Still Here. We Are Still Here, and Mohawk, and also some of these actors have some cred. Jeremy Holmes plays the one major. He was in Ranger, was a pretty memorable character for him, and Ezra Buzzington was in Mohawk, among other things. So I enjoyed this. I liked that time period. I liked the setup. I liked the different characters and their different backgrounds. It was sort of a microcosm of the country at that time. My parents, another thing that made it really interesting is the neighbor who was German. My parents, my grandparents were from Germany, and the town that they were in, they spoke German. Their church services were in German. And during World War I, they had to quit speaking German because of the prejudice and the I can't think of the word I want. Anyway, being pushed by the people around them and having to give that up. So anyway, we
call it profiling now, right? So
yeah, I just found this really interesting. The setup there was, and the one character is very unlikable, and to me, you could kind of see why he's like that, but it got old. But I think it was supposed to, it kind of fit current situations. I thought of the way people are. One character had an arc. I guess more than one had an arc, but great effects. And I got to tell you, I'm sitting there watching this and I'm going, we joke about this, but there was a Chekhov body in the room.
Chekhov's body.
I was just waiting for something to happen there. So anyway,
like that.
I enjoyed it. And plus I think the music, the radio kept coming on and off.
I did like that too. That was cool. So
neat little effects that didn't cost anything, but gave you a creepy feeling,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did have some ghostly effects. There isn't, the hand that's on the poster. We get to see that. I really like this movie. The thing that won me over early is what Christopher was talking about when it changed the ratio. I do enjoy that too, because it kind of shows you the time period we're in, and then modernizes it with the ratio for us, as so we can adapt to it. I found it informative as well as neat, right, Christopher? It kind of set the stage.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the room, the setting of the room was the color that they used, the antiques that they used, the pictures they had on the walls, everything they had about that room. I just loved the whole scenery. And like you said, it would make a great play. If that was just a set on a stage, it'd be fantastic, right? And all the little things that they do. And if they pulled off what they do in this movie on a stage, people would shit their pants. It's not because it was scary. It's just like you're not.
Have you not been to you haven't been to a performance in a while, have you?
I have not. I mean,
they do amazing things in the theater now.
They're not throwing red handkerchiefs to do blood, right? They're not doing that anymore. It's been a while. No, I thought this was. Chris was shaking. I thought this was fantastic. Mainly because of the actors, the cast. The cast is fantastic, and they play off each other well, and they even address each other and take turns like a play would. I mean, it's written.
Yeah.
I wonder. I suspect it was written as a play and just adapted into this and straightforward. And it was probably a product of its time because of it was made in or around the COVID area. He restricted some things at that point, and it's a low budget independent kind of film. So, it all works. And what they pulled off for that, I thought was fantastic. For me, it was definitely a character study, and I thought everybody had an arc, although except for maybe Chekhov's body, but some of them weren't typical, right? Like what fascinated me is like only one character had what you would stereotypically have as a character arc. The one guy who decides to stand up for, and say, okay, I did that and I'm going to face it. Right. That's the only arc that's typical. That's
what about the non-violent dude who becomes
that's
violent?
The opposite. That's the opposite of a typical arc. That's not a typical arc because
he didn't stand up for himself, and then he did.
But he didn't. And then
did.
But he didn't. He was still a coward. He just did. But the thing was, what it is that it also puts a strain on the relationship with his wife. So it's a weird like anti-climatic kind of thing, because there's more story for those two characters to happen after that, the reaction to what they did. But anyway, to me, it wasn't a typical arc like the guy from Ranger. He had one that was more typical. Something comes and oh yeah, now I got to be this person. And the other guy. Well, anyway, I don't want to get into that point too much right now. But anyway, I thought everybody had arcs. And I loved the confrontations. I liked how it shifted because it would shift between this person and this person. And then the one, our female lead was, forced to step back into shoes she didn't want to step back into, the interrogator shoes. Right. So I don't know. It wasn't what I was expecting either, Crystal, because I was expecting something very much like what you were thinking, a little bit more on the supernatural side. There is definitely supernatural going on in here.
I thought it was going to be funny.
Okay.
I did. I thought it was going to, the poster.
That's why the trailer is very, very.
You think the trailer?
Okay. So let me explain to you something, though. I am refuting my point about the character art because that is a character art. Doc, it doesn't have the character doesn't have.
I didn't say it wasn't a character arc. I said it wasn't a typical character arc.
Yeah, but then you fought me on the fact that it was a character arc.
No, that's not what I was. No, that's not what I was fighting. You and I are not on the same like.
Yeah. We'll go back and listen to it.
Oh, damn.
We'll go back and listen to
it. Jeff, can you get that knife out of my back?
We need to lock you two in a room.
I thought the argument was about if it was traditional or not. But
I was just talking about whether it was a traditional arc. I said
I wasn't listening.
But I don't.
Anyway.
There is no there. But a character arc is, as far as the way the way that it goes, is irrelevant. It just means that the character changes due to what happens in the story. That's all. It doesn't matter how the changes reflect. Like there's tons of, what about Alien? What about aliens, like women who are like meeker and then become a fighter? Like it's not it is pretty
That
typical.
is a character, but I
so
don't,
it's his,
I don't equate
exactly.
I don't equate his arc with that. So
I don't?
I read a lot more into it. I read a lot more into what happened to him than what you're getting into.
No, you're missing it, because the first thing that happens when he comes in is he hears about how violent his wife is. As far as characters go, I freaking,
and he was a pussy.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And he walked out a pussy too. He still was a pussy. He just
No, that's not true. I don't think that's
true. When he was in that car, he was still the same fucking pussy he was as he walked into the house.
I didn't see that.
Oh, I did.
He took the action that they were too much of a pussy to take. That's what I feel like.
We're spoiling, right?
We are in spoilers.
Yeah, we're already in spoilers. Yeah, like he did what needed to be done. Because guess what? One thing got them out of that room. And when he did it, I was like, thank God. I would have done it too. I don't have time for this. I'm not gonna be fighting with some ghosts. I'm like, I want out of here. Get me out. That is horrible. It's a nightmare. And the moment that dude beat his head on the damn dining room table, I'm like, nah, I'm out. No. This is not a joke. You get that gun right there. No.
So you didn't follow anybody's motivation not to do that, even including the guy that eventually did do it.
Well, I would have at first, okay? Like, I get it. You should fight that at first. But once things continued to get worse and the ghost did that, and it was obvious, and they couldn't get out, they couldn't find the key, I'm like, no, I don't know. The best part about the movie, I will give it to him for this, is that he never let us know whether she was or she wasn't. And I think that's a smart decision.
Yeah, we never really know for sure, right?
And that's great. I give him kudos for that. I just feel like it was like a little boring at points, because here you are, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Okay, and then are you friends with the gay guy? Are you picking on the gay guy? Are you really? It's like, I guess I just.
And the answer is yes.
That's what you would hope, but I mean, yes. I don't talk
friends
to my.
And he was picking on him at the same time.
Yeah, I don't.
He wasn't a very good friend.
No,
but he was his friend.
Bad person.
Well, one of the things I really liked about it was the different ways that the four friends that were back from the war, the different kind of things that they told themselves in order to justify doing things they couldn't think about, So what the Jeremy Holmes character had told himself, and what the other guy never did understand, Ezra Buzzington's character. So anyway, and the interrogator too, right? So
well, yeah, it was horrible for them she had clearly gotten past that in her life and was over all that sort of business.
And I think that's
I'm not really sure she was.
Well, I think that's where her husband came into play and fulfilled the arc that other people fulfilled, because he basically made excuses for what he did in the same way that they made excuses for what they did. Yep. So I think that's that's kind of like the more interesting arc of everyone, is because he's basically wanting to be like everybody else.
Yeah,
well,
and that's exactly
he realizes what you have to do that, you end up hurting innocent people or doing things that are against your.
What I love best about him, though, is how he was a total sociopath. Did you notice he did it and was like, the husband?
The husband, a sociopath? Okay. To get back to
he literally blew two people's brains out, had no problem walking out the door and leaving, and was like, that is by definition, sociopath. Absolutely. He literally just murked two people. I was like, well, let's go home.
Yeah, well, I didn't get an impression when he walked in he was that. So that's his arc. He becomes a sociopath. But let's talk about the wife. Again, let's go back to the lead, because her closing line is what led me to believe that she was basically fooling herself the entire time. That because she says the war's over, who says so? Because even though she's home from the war and she's trying to forget, it's always with her.
Right.
No matter how much she says, no matter what she says and what she tries to make everybody else believe, it's still.
I hated that line.
That's
oh, really?
Not what
it should have ended before that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
think that kind of spoiled the whole ending of the movie.
Really?
That's not
because that was already because again it was just being repetitive. It's just I think that's what Crystal's like. I mean, I do feel like there's repetitive elements that they just keep repeating. That
because there's not much you can do.
Yeah, because it's almost like like when you have like mysteries, you reveal, you peel away layers of the onion or whatever. But if you keep peeling the same layer over, it doesn't add a lot. And I think to that it was like, we've already hit you over the head with this idea. Let's do it one more time just in case you didn't.
Well, I think it was in two totally different points of view.
Yeah, but we had totally different points of view earlier in the same stuff. So I don't know. I just felt like
I do think
I'm kind
revealing
of done. I'm kind of done.
I do think revealing things even about the individual characters, like literally we find out the dude is gay. She was an interrogator. They spewed everything right at the beginning. And then we basically revealed nothing other than a woman hiding in the closet who he still wanted us to kill. There was no change there. I completely agree with Christopher. I do believe that had it been written differently, and maybe you didn't know the guy was gay at first, maybe all this stuff starts to come out. Maybe her as an interrogator, maybe we could have talked a little bit about the torture she did and how it affected her. How these things, and yeah, I mean, there's some ways I would have tweaked this that I think would have made it more interesting. But that's just me.
Yeah, because I think they gave more background on other people than they did on other characters. And I think if we got more background information on different people, even the husband, it'd be kind of nice. Maybe there's some kind of other element other than just them making jokes about him, pushing pencils or whatever. So
well, and she clearly chose him because she was, and when I say she's over it, Doc, I don't mean mentally that she doesn't think about what she did. I mean she's trying to get past it. She doesn't want to be that person anymore. Hence why she married a man who is, he keeps it between 10 and 2. She wants this normal life. And after he did what she easily would have done back in the war, she's being very much a hypocrite, but she was disgusted by him because that's not who she chooses to be any longer. That's all I'm saying.
She can't get away from herself.
Okay.
Well, it's
what she did.
Yeah. Well, yeah, forever.
Like
that's going to haunt her forever.
Some people act like nothing ever happened, even though it's eating them up inside. Other people, it's right on the surface, like Ezra Buzzington's character. The other guy is like Jeremy Holmes is sort of into this bravado until he's forced to kind of come clean as to what happened by the other guy, and so anyway, it's I just thought, and I don't know. I don't know. I think the husband felt that he was in a similar situation. Did he consciously do something to keep from having to serve in the war? Or did he just happen to have a job that exempted him because he was needed? So, he could have been feeling
guilt.
Every time they bring something up, he feels less than, and
that's a great
having to exert his.
I would have loved that. That's brilliant. See, Jeff, that's brilliant. I would have loved to have had something like that come out, and then that would even further have reinforced what he did, because he was trying to prove himself. Brilliant. Sorry.
Yeah, so I just got the idea that they resented him because he didn't go. The other two.
They did. Yeah. They resented him because he didn't go. We don't know though internally. How does he feel okay with that fact, and he's just pissed because they're always bringing it up, or does he have some guilt? He still has some guilt involved there.
No, I don't think he has guilt in it. It just seemed like he was belittled and he was resented.
I think it'd be really hard not to have guilt.
Yeah, I think he felt. I definitely feel like he felt like that too, though, Doc. I think he felt like less than. I think he felt very intimidated by these.
She literally says that, so yeah, that they treat him like that. So
yeah.
Well, especially that one guy, he's just always talking down to him like he wasn't like the rest of them, So that kind of.
Well, and then you find out that the guy who sort of organized the whole thing, Larry Fessenden's character, wasn't near the way he tried to present himself to be either, according to his friends. So he apparently had some, he had some bravado built around the fact that he had wouldn't actually have done those things himself, but he ordered it.
He let everybody else do it.
Yeah, which is so interesting.
Even in death,
just like he did with the guy. But here, here's the thing about that. Like, I think about my father, and you can ask my father if he killed anyone, and he doesn't like answering those questions, and he doesn't want to answer those questions, and you shouldn't ask those questions because, quite frankly, in times of war, it's war. So, like what the dude did, he followed orders. If he hadn't followed orders and done what he was,
you'd be court-martialed anyway, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. It's such a difficult position and situation to be in. I can't even imagine what it must have been like for him.
Unless you're Christopher Lee, and then you can ask him and he'll tell you.
Well, the difference is whether he was being used as a scapegoat or not. Because he was promised not to go through what he did, and
that's why I like.
Then guilt came out. There's a lot of complexity going on with that character,
right? And that's why I like this so much because it's taking the judgments that we have about Nazis who did things because they were ordered to, and you knew damn good and well that they were going to kill them if they didn't do what they were told to do or act the way they were expected to act, and turning it around and bringing it back here. With U.S. citizens having done things like that.
That and I don't know. I mean, I guess it comes down to if we really know or not if the girl is a Nazi or not. But I know for me, I just found it kind of funny if she wasn't a Nazi, that even in death, that guy's wife.
I know.
Crazy,
that was
crazy
really
as a
funny.
ghost. Like,
yeah, you took my wrist. You know what's so funny is I did think about that. I was like, did she kill her? Because if she was, that would make a lot of sense. And I thought about that before the ghost accused her. I was like, he left, and then.
Well, the acting in the dialogue
she's dead.
Subtly lets you believe it. There's an ounce of doubt in how she delivers it and how it's all brought out that she's lying, and that she actually did do it. I really thought that was
well, and I don't think we can trust the interrogator anymore because, like I said, she's overdoing that. She doesn't want to do it anymore. She really didn't put her heart into it.
No, she did the one act just so she would shock it because the others were never in there.
They expected
she did just enough for them to believe what was going on.
But she also pointed out that a lot of times people will do stuff because you threaten them. And so as an interrogator, how many people did she interrogate that said they were because they didn't want to stop being tortured?
And she probably knew that. She probably knew that she was interrogating false confessions. I mean, my dad waterboarded people and stuff. I mean, it's a thing, it's like, it's a thing.
Well, that and if you want to bring the whole like afterlife evil demon
not
stuff
just on a
into
random
it,
Friday.
Maybe both Fessenden's character and the wife's character, maybe they were just demons that came back as them as ghosts, trying to get the other people
you don't
to do
know.
stuff.
Ooh, that's a good. See, I wanted more supernatural.
So,
I feel like we should have done this. We should have made this movie.
Mr. Geoghegan, I would say no matter what we rank or score this movie, you were successful because this is a great discussion, I think.
All right, and we've gone on long enough, so let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's give our score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. And Crystal, that means you are up first.
Okay, I'm going to give this a 2.75.
Okay.
So yeah, well, I mean, look, it was very competently made, and I'm giving it the extra quarter point for the actors. Okay, like. Because they're great. Yeah. I mean, like, it's very competently made. It was boring to me. And I wanted a little bit, I wanted more from it. And I think they could have delivered it, but, I mean, everyone else really liked it. So it's good. Obviously, the only scene that actually made me go, yeah, I'm so excited, was the head beating scene.
Oh, well,
it
that was a great
so
scene.
beautiful. It was beautiful. When they come back to it and it's on him, I was like, oh,
that
yeah.
face, that Mr.
So
Potato Head
good.
face.
It was
Oh my God.
beautiful. Yeah, it was so good. I was like, okay, I wish we had like more of that. But yeah. There you go.
Fair. We all want to say that scene, by the way, just so you know. Now we got to pick out little other thing. All right, Christopher G. Mohr, give us your score and favorite scenes.
I'll give this. I mean, I did enjoy it. I have issues with it, but I think the acting and stuff is what really sells it. You know, that in that gore scene, or even some of the old timey ideas of effects and stuff like ectoplasm, like
like when he vomits up,
like old timey, the old timey type ectoplasm stuff you see in older like horror movies. You don't see that much, which is always the back in the day. That's why you have the pictures of the ectoplasm coming out of their mouth and stuff. So I'll give it a 3.75. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I think it's got good acting performances in it. And I do like its kind of old school approach, or new school approach. If you talk about the effects thing, I mean, the end part where you just see his eye like blink, it's just so freaking hilarious. But I will say when they first do that seance, and when the necklace starts vibrating and then it starts going,
and the candles start lighting up
the table, that scene is very effective, and that supernatural aspect of it, before it gets all Ghostbustery. But yeah, I do like that aspect of it. I think it's very effective and a very really great sort of opening thing for what happens after. But yeah, I think that's very effective how they shot that.
Yeah.
Excellent. Jeff, sir, your score, favorite scene.
I'm gonna go 4.25.
Whoa.
Wow.
Okay.
Nice.
And
right.
partially because of the discussion we just had, which is much better said what I was thinking all through this movie. The only negative I have is I felt like, and I think I'm hearing Crystal and Christopher say this too, is the character, and pardon me for not saying the character's name, but the character that Ezra Buzzington played was like a broken record, and it would just over and over and over. Now, I would have to go back and look at that though to see if we needed that space for some more for development of the Jeremy Holm's character or the other people. So anyway, that's not enough that it bothered me. I just was really enjoying it. Favorite scene? Well, I guess I'm going to have to take when Hawk, Larry Fessenden, unexpectedly, suddenly kills himself. But the part I'm talking about is afterwards when, God, I feel terrible about this now because I keep saying the characters. Ezra Buzzington's character is over there leaning over his head that has a big friggin' hole in it.
Yeah.
And he's like almost like that was powerful, I thought. Anyway, and I also wanted to mention, we mentioned all these other actors. Anne Ramsay, I love her, and I hate that I didn't know her name. I've seen her in so many things, and hopefully now I know her name. I'm looking back at her stuff. She's in Dexter. She was in A League of Her Own. I think is probably where I first saw her.
Yes, she was. She's fabulous.
Yeah. So I gotta scout out some more of her stuff. So excellent cast.
Yeah, the cast alone makes this film worth it. It's well cast as well. I mean, each of these actors are independently, terrific actors, but the chemistry between them I thought was really strong. I felt the connection, and that's what you were talking about, Jeff. The connection between, Major Paul DeFranco, Ezra Buzzington, and Larry Fessenden's Hawk character. They were tight. They were the core of the group, right? And then conflict between Ezra Buzzington and Jeremy Holm's Archibald Stanton, the major character. Because they had a strong professional relationship, army-wise, right, or military-wise, but personal-wise, they didn't really get along. So it was really, there's a dichotomy there going on with them that's really interesting. And of course, the relationship between Anne Ramsay's Marla and her husband. What was it? What did they call him? It wasn't Bobby. What was it? It was like
Bobble
or something like that. It was funny. Give him a goofy nickname that he hated. Anyway, I'll shut up. That alone just makes this worth it. I give it a 4.0.
There you go.
I definitely want to kind of put it in my pocket as an honorable mention for the year. I don't know if it'll make it in the top 10, but I really like this movie. It surprised me. It wasn't what I expected, Crystal. Maybe because of that. Because I was expecting something like you were as well. I was expecting to be a little bit more lively and funny, but it wasn't. It was serious. The tones, the subject matter was serious, and everything was, but when the supernatural did happen, it was fantastic. But my favorite scene, well, it's obviously the head bashing scene, but if not that, early on, and Christopher, back me up or tell me I imagine this, but as they go into the house off the stoop, and they're in the house and they're walking through it, for a good portion, it's like one shot as they go in the hallway and down into the room. And you see, like, you're following one character, and then Anne Ramsay's character walks in front, and the camera steers away and follows her, and she walks over and talks to another character. Mm-hmm. And it kind of tied all these characters together and then showed off the scenery, at the same time. It won me over with that shot when they walked into that room, and it, just because it felt authentic. It felt like that room was in that period. The set dressing for that was just beautiful, from the color of the walls to the furniture to the pictures, the photographs that were all sent. That scene really struck me. Do I remember that one correctly, Christopher?
I think so. I mean, I can't remember specifically if it's done in one long shot, but the camera does flow to sort of do that. I know Spielberg does that a lot with like Wonders, where you go through and you meet all the different characters in a specific area. But yeah, I think it is a great way to sort of like reveal your different characters, establish your characters in this new space.
Yeah, because Ezra's character's already been there, right, for a couple hours, and that was the topic of the conversation, which then comes back later why he was there. Of course, it centers around. And
whoever did the special effects with the Fessenden body practical effects is real, from the gunshot hole in the very back of the head to when he bashes his head, is so well done. So whoever did that, kudos to those people. It's primo special effects.
And I thought it was a great performance.
That's probably where all the budget went to.
It probably was. That and the hand, right? The hand coming up.
So good.
Or the set design, unless that just happens to be
that was nice.
Well, the costume,
no, they worked on that.
The
costume, I was about to say.
Because it's really hard to pull off period pieces on a low budget movie, because it's very obvious a lot of times.
But it was smart, though, that they literally stayed in one room of a house, so it's worth spending all the money on that area so that it's all right and proper, and you really give the
Did you guys notice
you get the hallway for a brief moment, but not really enough to be other than pick your coat off and look at a picture. Go ahead, Jeff.
On Major DeFranco's Ezra Buzzington's jacket, it had isn't that the medical insignia, the pin that was on his?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'll give you $1.
I didn't look at his anything, actually.
If it was a movie pin, I might be able to tell you, but nothing dealing with military.
Yeah, but I thought the dialogue was pretty authentic too, and even to the point of what the Franco as a Berlin character was.
Well, yeah, some of the slang. So if you're also doing a period piece, when it comes to writing a script, you have to research that stuff, like what kind of things they say, whether it's calling krauts, and all the different, even the slang about saying different things. And so when they were talking to each other, I was like, I like that, because that's what engrosses you in the world, because they're not talking like people talk today.
Yeah. All right, well, there you go. That's our review of Brooklyn 4-5. It is streaming on Shudder, so we encourage you to check it out and let us know what you think about it in the comments down below. We'd love to hear what we missed and what we took too seriously. But regardless, Christopher, Crystal, of course, Jeff, thank you for joining me. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
You know what? Why does everyone, let me tell you something. The problem with today's society is we act like conflict is a bad thing. It's the way you handle conflict. Conflict is good. You just don't punch people when you have a conflict. You just talk it out.
Yep.
It's
And
okay.
I really love the character arcs of both Doc and Crystal by the end of this review. It's a typical character arc.
And I love the knife collection I have now from all the knives I pulled out of my back. It's really
see, okay, so see, if someone doesn't agree with Doc, then you're a backstabbing little bitch.
I get a knife.
No.
Apparently, yeah.
He had some left over from 70.
How many years did it take you to learn that?
Parents are fighting. Jeff, the parents are fighting. I don't like it.
Do you still love each other? You're going to get a divorce.
Well,
okay.
I'm going to sleep on the couch with the snow falling on my head. Who knows what that movie is? Let's keep going.
What is it?
Barefoot in the Park.
What is?
Oh. Totally not horror. Totally watched it last night.
Can be for some.
Yeah.
What's that?
Can be for some.
Yeah,
Oh
I mean,
God.
okay. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to judge you.
Yeah, if you're into certain actors' political things, it might be one. Anyway, I digress.
On that note,
let's get out of here. Let's say good night.
Good night. If you're still here, good night. And I'm sorry.
You're still here? Yes,
Auf
you are.
Wiedersehen.
Oh. Hasta luego?
Hasta luego. Mm.
Yeah, not in this context.
See you later.
Good night. Gruesome Magazine.